On this episode of Salt and Siren.
Well, we're on the Mississippi. We've about to join up with the Missouri River. We're about 12 miles an hour. We're following a 54-foot Hatteras, Cloud 9.
That's right. We make it to the Mississippi, which merges into the Missouri, which has a lot of debris. We stop by, not really, float by the arch, and then we head up the Ohio River, what looked to be a really beautiful day. Until this happened. This is the best way I can explain what happened. Yep. About right. Welcome. This leg of the trip would have us going from Grafton to Kaskaskia Lock. You can call ahead and ask them if you can stay at their lock wall. And there's no power or anything like that, but it beat trying to find an anchorage with the flooded Mississippi River and all the debris. That didn't sound like a good plan to us. Where are we?
Well, we're on the Mississippi. And the debris, water's high, but the debris doesn't appear to be too bad. We actually had a lot of debris in the lock we just went through. And we're in between locks. We're about 2 miles out from our chain of rocks lock. And then that should be the last lock we have on the Mississippi until we turn into the Ohio. So that'll be good. Got a little bit of a fuel line issue that we're dealing with. Seems to be under control. And just monitoring that situation, but the boat's running great. That's about it. Enjoy the view.
This morning was so deceiving because it started out really beautiful and the weather held out really great. But as soon as we hit St. Louis, we started seeing just north of the city, we started seeing a lot of debris. And luckily it was all floating. We only, I think, hit a few things. It was a little nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie. But it wasn't too bad as long as you have multiple eyes kind of scanning the water. I didn't actually get a lot of video because I was really trying to help Todd kind of find stuff that was floating. There was a lot of, port, starboard, but we got through it okay. So it wasn't too bad. There is the arch. So if you've never seen it from the water, something that neither Todd or myself have ever done, it was a really interesting view to float right. I guess I didn't really realize how close it was to the river. So it's kind of a nice little view. As we headed further south, we did run into plenty of other debris. So again, it was just about keeping an eye watchful, and the river was fast. At some points we were going as fast as 17 knots, which is crazy. And it was like we planned it because we got right to Kaskaskia Lock as night fell, and our lovely Cloud 9 friends let us hook into their power for the night. So grateful for Cloud 9. We woke up, all of us, early the next morning because we had a huge stretch in front of us. We wanted to try to make it from Kaskaskia Lock to Paducah, which is roughly about, if I can recall, somewhere in 140 miles ish. It started out beautiful. The day was beautiful. The Mississippi still had plenty of debris, but all of us were pretty watchful for it. So once we got to the Ohio River, we ended up just dodging really a lot of barge traffic. I mean, really big barges. That would have hurt. And we knew that we were going to have to put some fuel in our tanks because we were carrying barely just enough, I think, to get to that distance, not to mention using old fuel or sediment at the bottom of our tanks. So here's that story.
Hi. Yeah, I'm interrupting way in the future to show you and tell you at least what had happened, because I can't actually show you what happened because it was pitch black for the next 3 hours.
Because we had a little bit of a situation last night.
We had limited fuel. Our tanks only carry 250 gallons of fuel, and we knew that we would have to use our jerry cans. So we didn't get to the bottom of those fuel tanks because they are old. We don't know what's the bottom of them, and we don't want all of that going through our engines. So we pulled out of the channel on the Ohio River, turned off the engines, poured in the gas and the fuel, went to go turn on the engines to keep going, and we only had a starboard engine. Our port engine wouldn't start. Oh, okay, now what? There wasn't quite panic yet, but it was starting to get dark, and we had never boated in the dark before. So we thought, okay, well, we're just gonna have to figure it out. And that, by we, I mean Todd. So he went under, I just saw furniture flying and battery cables flying, and I heard all kinds of shit happening underneath there. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but it warrants the situation. And during that time period, it got dark. I lost all of my instrument lights. We were going about 4 knots upstream. And Todd came up and he's like, what happened? It's kind of embarrassing, huh? Don't mind the cat. So Todd came up out of the engine room, and he's like, what happened to all the lights? And I said, yeah, about that. I didn't want to panic him, but I also was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. We had our electronics luckily still going, and so we could see where we were supposed to be in the channel. We were dodging barges, and luckily they had all known that we were out there. They were talking to one another, and they're like, oh yeah, we heard about you. And I'm like, seriously, we're not this stupid, I swear. But we didn't think that if we pulled out and tried to anchor, we weren't near any of the anchorages that were listed on our guides. And we thought, what if we can't A, start the engines up again in the morning, and B, what if we can't be seen because we don't have any navigation lights either. So Todd found a dive light that hooked into the cigarette lighter. We still have one on our boat. To even hear me saying this right now is just ridiculous. So sticking it into the cigarette lighter, and I held it outside the helm window, and I just sat inside the helm like a little ball of fur, you know, just trying to light up our boat with this little dive light. And I'm like looking at the barges going, please see me, please see me. They saw us and it was fine. We had to go by a wicket dam, and I owe that man, the lockmaster there, like a 6-pack of beer. Because he got into his car, he's like, I'm gonna shine my lights on the buoy so you can see where you're going, and I'm gonna help you navigate through this channel. Okay. So it took us about 3 hours to go what should have taken us maybe an hour. Our friends on Cloud 9 were about ready to send out a search party at the very least.
We limped in the rest of the way up the Ohio against the current on one engine. Needless to say, it was late and dark.
And then we got into Paducah, and they were waiting there, and we came in kind of a little hot. We fell off the boat, we just hugged them. We're like, oh my God, we made it. So that's why I don't have any video, because Todd and I didn't even speak, not because we were mad at one another, but because we were fully on concentration mode to watch for anything in the water. We didn't speak for 3 hours. So that's what happened. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Where are we, Janae?
I don't know, Todd, where are we?
We're in Paducah. We're on our way to try to find a marine store or an auto parts store to look for batteries and engine fuel dry, so we can dry out, we think, some condensation in our tanks. That's the plan.
So we spent the next couple of hours walking and taking lifts from place to place to get what we thought we needed to figure out the problem. We were wrong on what that was, but we thought we had like a battery problem or condensation in our fuel, but actually our friend Kyle from Cloud 9, who is training to be a marine engineer himself, came over and started looking around and poking around with Todd, and together they figured out that our distributor cap had some rust in it, probably from some of the condensation. So thank you, Kyle, for your assistance. So after that little fiasco, we took to the high river. The Ohio was a little bit higher than normal, but not as bad as the Mississippi. and we took off with Cloud 9 and headed towards Green Turtle Bay, which is near or at the top of Land Between Lakes. So we thought we were going to actually stay at Green Turtle Bay, but we ended up shoving off, which we'll explain a little more later. After all that nighttime boating the night before, we swore we would never get in after dark again. But it didn't matter because we arrived after dark at Green Turtle Bay anyway, which was fine actually because we got to sit down with the crew over at Cloud 9 and have dinner, which was perfect because we would be saying goodbye to them the next day.
Say hi.
Hi! We made it! We're all in one piece.
Just want to throw out some love to that Cloud 9 crew with Jason, Chels, Kyle, and Brad. You guys were awesome and we already miss you. The Liveaboard community always tells you don't make any boat plans because they're always going to change anyway. We thought we would be staying at Green Turtle Bay for a little while, and that proved to be wrong because we decided to get up and leave the next morning. So we decided to carry on since we knew we needed to get the boat further south anyway. So we shoved off in the morning and said goodbye to our Cloud 9 friends. On the next episode of Salt and Siren, we travel Kentucky Lake. We make a stop at a few different marinas and make friends along the way, which was just awesome. And we finally find our winter home for our lovely lady. And before I let you go, consider subscribing. We don't even know if you guys like these videos or not, or if it's a waste of your time, or even if you got this far or not. So if you do like it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We would love to have you and love to hear your feedback about your boat and about your travels. So don't be a stranger. See you next time. Thanks for watching.
And that's what happens behind you. That's what happens behind the scenes. It's really embarrassing, Pippi. Oh, God.